Cam Akers is likely getting traded, and guys, it's for real this time. Let's get into the video. So if you guys don't know, Cam Akers was almost traded last year. However, they kind of handled the situation wrong, and they most likely weren't able to get what they wanted out of Cam Akers when trading him. So they decided to hold on to him, and he actually had a solid end of the year. It seemed like him and the Rams relationship was kind of, all good. And then going into this year, it was seeming like he was just going to be the starting back. But then the first game happens. Kyron Williams scores 2 touchdowns, should have scored a third, and then they finally gave it to Cam, probably just to throw him a bone at that point. And he only had 22 carries that's a lot of carries, for 29 yards is the thing. And he didn't play well. Luckily for fantasy managers that week, he got a touchdown. If not for that, he would have been one of the worst fantasy players, but we're not talking about fantasy. We're talking about the Rams. He just wasn't running good. And this probably led into him complaining a bit and now wanting to get a trade. However, the Rams this time are handling it a bit different. So let's talk about it. Sean McVay was non-committal on Cam Akers' future after Sunday's game against the 49ers, a game that Akers was inactive for. He called it a coach's decision and wouldn't say whether Akers will remain with the Rams. So his time in LA is certainly coming to an end. Ian Rappaport reported on Monday morning that the Rams have had trade talks with teams centered around Akers, a sign that the Rams could potentially find someone to take the struggling running back. And basically, last year there were issues that led to the Rams to have trade talks about Akers before he reemerged. This year, no issues. His attitude has been good, but remains to be seen how this will be resolved. And then, gives Sean McVay. Fox Sports sideline reporter Laura Oakman said on the broadcast during Sunday's game, however, that Akers has not been adhering to the Rams' culture of doing what's asked and having accountability, which goes against what Rappaport says in the shared in the post above. Regardless of whether it's performance-based or a chemistry thing, the Rams seem destined to move Akers one way or another. Even Kyron Williams' postgame comments indicate that will happen. So we'll talk about what Kyron said in the postgame in a second. But basically, what's happening here is that the Rams are trying to seem like, hey, it's just not working out between, me and Cam Akers. We just want to move him. And that's what is kind of being portrayed in the media. And this is so that NFL teams don't think that there's anything wrong with Cam Akers. However, what's kind of being said by Fox sideline reporters and some people with a little bit of inside information is that he's basically just not doing what the Rams are asking. And that's why they're trying to move him. So it's better to get a guy that's going to be less of a problem, and you're going to be able to get more, in return in terms of draft picks or whatever it is, if it's a better player. So that's basically what's going on with this trade situation. But I mean, even Kyron Williams basically confirms this based on his post-game's remarks. And this is what he said: "Me and Cam, we were close in his time here. I'm hoping he goes somewhere where he can excel and do what he does best, because Cam is a great football player and even better person. So good luck to Cam." So this basically says, hey, yeah, Cam's not going to be with us anymore. And Williams played amazing. In this past week, he had 100 scrimmage yards and 2 touchdowns in week 2. Week 1, he literally had 2 touchdowns as well. Even when he wasn't the go-to back, he only played. He had literally half the snaps of Cam Akers, half the carries of Cam Akers, and he still played very well. And I think it's because Kyron Williams is just a team player. Cam Akers isn't, and that's basically what it comes down to. Even though Akers' future with the Rams is undetermined, Williams is speaking like someone who knows his teammate is heading somewhere else soon. So that's kind of where we're at. But let's talk about, 7 possible trade suitors for the Rams. He doesn't have much time left as a Ram. He's a healthy scratch for week 2, and McVay's non-committal. We've already gone over this. But these are 7 teams that could possibly use it. the Ravens. They just lost J.K. Dobbins. And, you know, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, they're fine and dandy. However, adding Akers could definitely be something that they've done in the past. They've added running backs in the past to kind of fill a need. And J.K. Dobbins at this point is just a guy that is injury prone. So, you know, they need a deep rotation of backs. So this is somewhere they could possibly go. Indianapolis Colts, you know, Jonathan Taylor, he's out for the next 2 weeks on the PUP list. And then who knows if he's even going to be holding out past that. They plan to trade Taylor. It's very possible that the Colts and, you know, the Rams trade Taylor for Akers. And then obviously the Rams will have to add picks on top of that. So, you know, it's we'll have to see what does happen with that. If we can get out of there with only giving up a second or a third rounder, you know, and Akers for Jonathan Taylor, that would be super awesome for the Rams. Week 3, we got the Giants. You know, Saquon Barkley just injured his ankle. It says that he's only going to miss a few weeks, but, you know, if you're a fantasy manager, I would probably count on him being out for at least 2 to 3 weeks at the minimum. So, you know, Giants don't have a ton of cap space, but Akers, you know, still on the rookie deal. He could possibly go there for the rest of the time. The Detroit Lions, David Montgomery was just carted off with a thigh injury, and the Rams and the Lions have a good trade history together. Obviously, Jared Goff. You know, a lot of players go to the Lions as well. Josh Reynolds. Those are just the guys that, you know, come off the top of my head. But yeah, he may not be the most efficient back, but Akers does run hard and have some value in short yardage situations where the Lions might take Gibbs off the field. So, yeah, that's what we're kind of looking at that. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you know, Rachaad White did have 103 total yards and a touchdown, but he's been inefficient as a runner since coming into the NFL. So although he had some success, you know, it's possible that they want to move up and go with a higher upside guy. The Chicago Bears, Khalil Herbert has just 62 yards rushing on 16 attempts. So, you know, the Bears could be looking for some help as well. And the Panthers, you know, they don't really have too much after, you know, just Miles Sanders, who's very wishy-washy. So maybe Akers has a bit more upside for them as well. In terms of, you know, moving on from Cam Akers, I just kind of want to talk about that really quick. Kyron Williams made Rams history, and this is probably going to let the Rams, you know, be okay with their decision of, hey, we can move Cam Akers now because we have an answer. Even if we don't get Jonathan Taylor or we don't trade for anyone, Kyron Williams is looking like a guy or even the guy for the Rams. The Williams is the first ever Rams player to score multiple touchdowns in each of the first 2 games of the season. Williams scored 2 rushing touchdowns week 1 and another 2 touchdowns on week 2 against 49ers, one of which was a reception. So yeah, he's basically making, I mean, Kyron Williams is making, you know, Rams records. Puka Nacua is making Rams records, which I'm going to talk about in tomorrow's video. And yeah, this is just absolutely amazing for the Rams. Williams is undersized, but he runs hard and he gets in the end zone, and that's really what matters for us Rams fans. But yeah, Cam Akers is, you know, his time at the Rams is most likely done. And I think, personally, I wasn't really too excited for that on Sunday morning before the 49ers game. But after seeing what Kyron Williams can do, I think the Rams are in good hands. I think, you know, we could possibly trade for someone like Jonathan Taylor, and I'll be happy with that. At this point, Cam Akers is just a bit too much of a distraction, and it's probably best to move on from him. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comment section below, and leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.